Be good. Let me just go ahead and get a sound check test real quick. Welcome to another episode of Omens. I'm JayDreamerZ. Welcome to my channel. In this segment, we talk about and discuss the omens, the strange things, anomalies that are happening around the world, and we sort of use that as a gauge to see how close we are to what I believe is an inevitable and cyclical apocalypse that is on the way. So we're going to check out some of these things here. I want to say thank you to everybody who has started to contribute to sharing your omens, your videos and pictures and stuff. The new link, if you want to share, I just posted it in my community section. I'll probably get that updated, throw a picture in there for some spice and some flavor. But you can share your omens too. If you have some home video footage or some cell phone footage or pictures or something, then you can share that with me by going over to my community tab. At the moment, I will also make that available on my website. So let me just jump into the chat, make sure everybody's audio is good right now. And it does look like it is. I'm red today. I don't know why I'm red today, but that's okay. All right, cool. Audio is good now. Thank you, everybody. Good to see everybody in the chat. Let's go ahead and jump right into the headlines for today. I'll share a couple of viewer submissions here at the end. And if you're watching, I did just send out 2 packages, some book orders to Norway and to California. So if that's you, your books are on the way, along with some merch and some other fun stuff. All right, cool. So first and foremost, we've got historic snow amounts. We're going to check this out. Historic snow is these cold front that's moving over the entire United States at this moment. Historic snow amounts are falling in Florida, Louisiana, and Texas in a once-in-a-generation storm that hits. So these are the types of wordings that I look for, these anomalous storms, these strange cold fronts. This weatherman's actually in Houston, in Texas right now. He's giving this entire broadcast in Texas, which this particular region is just covered in snow. But the reason that this happens is because of the fluctuation, the electromagnetic fluctuation that the Earth is going through. When we go through stable times, right? Remember Three Body Problem when we decoded that whole movie? They talked about these stable eras versus these chaotic eras. When we're in a stable era, which we are not right now, then the polar vortex is more circular and it's more predictable and it pretty much stays in its same area throughout the year. But whenever it goes into flux, instead of a circle, it starts looking more like a starfish pattern going all over the place. And that's what it's doing right now. That's an actual physical omen that we can see whenever it's, shown to us on maps and stuff. And we're experiencing it now with these various legs of extreme cold and extreme hot from the polar vortex. And that's happening right now. Next up, polar vortex driven Arctic blast to yield a historic southern snow. So here's the same subject, but a map. This is the United States here where I live. And as you can see, look at Texas. This is all white. Look at that. Normally down here, Texas doesn't get this kind of weather. Okay. But it's blanketed across the entire United States, with the exception of the very tip of Florida. This is a pretty huge omen for me, looking for these extremes whenever it comes to weather patterns. Extreme weather patterns are only going to increase and continue to increase as the days go forward, especially as that focal point up there in the sky heats up and continues to heat up, also known as the sun. Now, this is also seen in Texas. The article says rare weather phenomenon puts on a stunning light show in Texas. Light pillars only appear under very specific weather conditions. So we have these pillars of light. These are the sky pillars that I'm talking about. Now, these ones are just reflections of lights that are coming down from like street lamps and things of that nature on the ground. But imagine what it will look like whenever we have a vapor canopy, right? Whenever the atmosphere depressurizes, and especially in areas of up north, wherever the atmosphere will be much colder. Normally you would have fog and mist, but wherever the atmosphere is freezing and very cold, you'll have crystalline fog, or you'll have crystals in the air and it creates this. Basically, these are sky pillars, light pillars that shoot straight up into the sky. Whenever the gases within the earth are released in mass as the inner earth depressurizes, and those gases are starting to be released now, when they ionize and they shoot up from these cavernous systems and they become lights, terrestrial beams of light that shoot up into the heavens, this is what you can expect to see in the world to come in those areas. You can see sky pillars. This is what people talk about whenever you hear about the quintessential sign, and people say, look for the sign, follow the sign. This is the sign. It's a straight and narrow beam of light that shoots straight up into the sky from Mount Meru at the North Pole. That'll be the biggest and largest and most widely seen beam of light, but there will be local ones, other ones in different places in the world where there's other cavernous openings, smaller, less bright and stuff than that of Mount Meru, but this is the type of thing people will expect to see, and these will become future lore and myths and legends, just like Iram of the Pillars, or the City of the Pillars that, basically became a mystery to antiquity. Next up, Rocket Lab and other space stocks are soaring. Why? Because Donald Trump wants to go to Mars. Donald Trump wants to go to Mars. Well, this is really interesting to me, this whole concept of going to Mars, right? I believe that we live in a closed system. And a closed system is one that you can't leave. You can't get out of. It's closed. There are times when that closed system opens up, right? If it's cyclical, it has to open up, depressurize, release all the toxins, and reset and start over. So when they talk about going to Mars, I don't see that as leaving the dome and getting out of here and going to an actual physical planet or place called Mars, but rather preparing for the apocalypse. Our world becomes Mars. Our world becomes Mars-like. We shift from an ocean world to a desert world. We shift from from a blue sky that we have today to a red sky. So this is code for me whenever I based on my research through the plasma apocalypse lens that I wear. I'm hearing code when they talk about wanting to go to the moon or go to Mars or things of that nature. They're preparing, especially the rich, the super rich, the mega elite of the world are all preparing for the apocalypse. This is code for their preparations. They're doomsday preppers. Okay. Some are preparing to leave the earth completely. They're going to get in rocket ships and blast off and leave when that time comes that the sky does open up and the system is no longer closed. They will be leaving. But many will be left behind, many of their family members and extended family and whatnot, and those who are not approved to go venture and fly throughout the heavens and the Elysian fields and stuff, they'll be staying here. So they're preparing places for their families as to survive and wait out the apocalypse. But Trump, this isn't the first time that he has said and talked about things like this talking in code. He wants to buy Greenland. And he's made this known for quite some time now. He keeps on saying that we should buy Greenland. The United States should buy Greenland, or he's going to buy Greenland. What is his interest in purchasing this land, in acquiring Greenland specifically? What's so special about Greenland? Well, I will tell you that the thing that I find special about Greenland is in studying the ancient maps, especially those from the medieval times, we have this circular island, a land at the North Pole. And I believe that land is Hyperborea. I believe that land is the Garden of Eden and Atlantis, etc., and so on and so forth. This land, the tip of Greenland, right up here in the corner on all of these maps, is the closest land to paradise, to a terrestrial, physical, actual paradise on Earth. The northernmost tip of Greenland is the closest land to that. Also, that paradise is actually enclosed by huge summits of these basalt cliff rock walls, like the cliffs of insanity that go shoot really high up. But according to these maps, there's an area just off the tip of Greenland in Hyperborea where somebody could feasibly make camp outside of the walls of paradise, because there seems to be some beach in that area. So he's very interested in acquiring this Arctic land, right? Greenland. And as a matter of fact, Greenland, or a Danish lawmaker, I should say, delivers a message to Trump. And this is their response to him wanting to buy Greenland.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump.
If the translation was correct, the term you used is not allowed in this house, and there will be consequences to the message you have.
All right, so basically he tells Trump to F off. This guy's going to correct him and say, you can't talk like that here. But they're saying, hey, we're not for sale. We're not going to sell Greenland to America or whatever. But the whole point is that all of these nations are becoming very interested in the Arctic, in the land at the Arctic, and the resources and stuff. They're all starting to creep in towards the center of the world. They're all being called, either knowingly or unknowingly, feeling compelled to move in closer and closer as they edge in towards Hyperborea. But according to the Bible, if this is the camp of the saints, as I believe that it is, then they will surround that island. They'll get close to it, but then fire comes down from the heavens and destroys all of those armies and stuff of the world. Basically, this one says vanishing Arctic ice ridges signal alarming climate shifts. So basically, the world's getting hotter. Okay, according to at least this narrative, the world's heating up. I also believe it's heating up. I think it's the sun, or the focal point up there in the sky, becoming more narrow and giving us a shortening of the days and increasing in its light and changing its spectrum into the blue spectrum. But the inside of the Earth also seems to be warming up. So everything's getting much warmer and all this ice is starting to disappear. Wouldn't that be interesting if all this ice did melt and all of a sudden land is poking out from underneath the ice and people are like, whoa, what's going on up here? Is there actually land up at the North Pole? This one says, watch, the world's first human-like walking humanoid robot takes a stroll in China. So, we've talked about this quite a few times. This is definitely an omen of the apocalypse. Every movie pretty much shows, any sci-fi movie, that shows some sort of apocalyptic event always shows the advancements of technology up to a certain point, which is basically humanoid robots, where we have the capability to replace ourselves, or we think we do, with robots that look like us, talk like us, walk like us. And this one looks like a robot, right? You could tell it's all metallic and stuff, but what happens, this guy's smiling behind him, what happens whenever, there's a future article and I tell you that this is the robot? When the robots look like the actual humans, right? This is I don't even know why they're making humanoid robots. There's no purpose to that I can think of, to spend that much money and manpower and stuff making humanoid robots. They can dance. All right, great. Humans can dance. That's fine. They can do the dishes. They can do all the dirty work that you don't want to do. Okay, that's fine too, but they're still going to be as expensive as cars. You know what I mean? But they want to make one of these for every human on the planet, which right now is billions of people. We're going to talk about the population declining here in a minute. But what does that mean? If they make one of these humanoid robots for every person, just like cell phones or cars or whatever, or for every family or whatever, that will basically be replacing ourselves, especially whenever the population starts to dwindle as birth rates get lower and lower from nation to nation. This article says, first of its kind video shows a meteor striking the Earth at 37,000 miles an hour. Well, this is clickbait, okay? I don't know who wrote this article, but there is no meteor that strikes the Earth at 37,000 miles per hour. The article will go on to talk about how here's a video, and it shows a rock falling from the sky, basically, and it explodes on impact. It hits the ground. It doesn't explode like in a fiery crash. It just breaks apart, okay? And there's dust and stuff like that. I might be able to show you real quick. Hold on, this is what it looks like. Bam. Okay, there it was. Okay, that was a rock falling out of the sky. Now they're going to say, no, that was a meteorite that was flying through space at something like, 100,000 miles an hour or something like that. Maybe 30,000, between 30 and 100,000 miles an hour. That's extremely fast. And then they'll tell you that these things slow down once they hit the atmosphere, right? Well, as you saw from that, there's no fire. There's no streak of fireballs. There's nothing it's just a rock that fell out of the sky. That's what happens when rocks fall out of the sky. And I believe they do fall out of the sky because there's stuff can float up there between here and the dome. At least I see how that's possible. A new report reveals unexpected shift in marine life off the coast of California. I've seen a lot of change here, says one person. Now, we've talked about watching the animals' migration patterns many times, right? Watching the animal kingdom closely to see what changes are happening in their circles. One of those important changes to keep an eye on is the migration patterns. The migration patterns of things like whales, like the killer whales and humpback whales and blue whales. Also sharks and all the sea life that's been beaching itself and stuff lately. All of these creatures are starting to move more northward, just like the humans are. Just like, I mean, the humans say that they're politically, inspired to do that or whatever. But the animals have no politics the way that we do. The animals are following the electromagnetic patterns and the temperatures. And so they're moving more and more closer north, basically, is what I found from my research so far. If anything, we can definitely say that the animals' migration patterns are off. Animals are being found in brand new places that they never were before, and they never called home before, and we don't associate them with. And oftentimes they're getting lost, especially birds and fish. Anything that is up in the atmosphere where it's more electrically charged, or down in the water, which has an electrolyte, being salt, running through it, right? So this is another omen to watch out for. What are animals doing and where are they going? Also, this helps this helps to explain how all the animals went to Noah's Ark, right? This also helps you to understand where Noah's Ark was originally, if you know where these animals are headed and where they head every single cycle. Look at that straight line going across up there. That's nice. But yeah, it also helps you to understand how all the animals were able to be named by Adam in the garden and where the garden is, right? They all went to one place on Earth. All of the animals did. They migrated. China's population falls for a third consecutive year, says this article. And they show you a few elderly people here. This is basically what is happening in most of the world, okay? With the exception of like Africa. Most places in Africa, they still have a good, population that can sustain itself. Excuse me. But the rest of the world has dwindling fertility rates and population decline. Their populations are getting lower and lower. Birth rates are getting lower. Fertility rates are getting lower. And when the news presents this, quite often, they put this way out far, far away. Like whenever a country would only have one child being born, they'll put it out hundreds and hundreds of years. But that's not the case. These things are happening exponentially. They're happening rapidly. And they'll continue to happen very rapidly so that they'll have to keep bringing that number back and back and back until it becomes a concern that they have to do something about. I mean, the governments of the world will start doing things about this. Right now, they're offering incentive. That's how things always begin when governments want to control the people. They take away freedoms in exchange for incentives and bonuses and gifts and things of that nature, right? The United States has done this. Okay, we give away our freedom to exchange things for gold and stuff. We lost the gold standard and we have all these benefits like social security benefits and stuff, but those were all exchanged for our freedoms. So right now, these different countries, in the eastern part of the world and even in Russia, they're offering all of these benefits to people who are making babies or trying to make babies or do have a baby or do get married and increase the odds of increasing the population. That's how it begins. Right now, they're saying we encourage this. At what point is it going to get to before they start ordering this, before they start implementing laws about procreation in order to keep populations going? Because you don't have a country, you don't have any form of safety or military or anything like that if you don't have a population, or if your population is just full of elderly people, right? So this is something to keep your eyes on. This is something I'm keeping my eyes on, is the dwindling fertility rates of nearly every country in the world and how they're in decline. And there's movies about this, okay? There's apocalyptic movies about how people one day no longer can have babies, okay? That they just aren't able to in the future for some reason. The different movies will paint that in different ways and, add different flavors to that. But basically, if the movies are any indicator, as they have been so many times in the past, then this is something to keep an eye on. Scientists update magnetic North Pole's position as it continues to move. So this is another thing to keep an eye on, which is the shifting pole, the shifting magnetic pole that's headed over towards Siberia right now, right? It was over in Canada. Now it's going all the way across just passed over the North Pole area and it's headed somewhere else. I predict that it's going to, kind of, make its way back basically and eventually settle at the actual North Pole. But this is a huge omen of an electromagnetic polarity flip or a polarity reversal, a pole reversal. It's happening. I mean, it's actually moving about. And that's when the apocalypse happens, is when we fully shift and the world fully goes through an electromagnetic polarity shift and we hit the neutral point of that polarity shift. Now, this article says it wasn't a meteorite. The European Space Agency identified the object that flew over Spain on Saturday. And you know what they're saying? Instead of a meteorite, they're saying that it was a part of a comet hit the Earth. The Earth was hit by a comet. That's in the news right now. That it's a piece of a comet that broke off and formed its own little comet. I don't know if this is supposed to be the picture. I think this is just, a picture of a regular comet, not whatever flew over Spain. But we got lots of things flying over the skies lately, especially things that are lighting up different colors, right? Which I'm going to show you my viewer submission when it comes to these weird balls of light people are seeing over every major city, it seems. But anyways, they're saying that a piece of a comet broke off and hit the Earth. And this is how fast it was going. Now, they say it broke up in the atmosphere. And they also say it hit the Earth. So I don't know. They need to make up their minds. But they say that this comet piece, this comet fragment, was traveling at 100,000 miles an hour. 100,000 miles an hour. And then it hit the Earth's atmosphere, which is like paper thin compared to flying through space at 100,000 miles an hour, and then magically turns on the atmospheric brakes until it hits terminal velocity in all of a few seconds, right? And then it just dissipates in the atmosphere. That doesn't sound believable to me, okay? Going 100,000 miles an hour, a comet flying at 100,000 miles an hour, just hits our atmosphere, slows down to terminal velocity, and then breaks up in the atmosphere. I don't think so. I think if it's going 100,000 miles an hour, that's extremely fast, and it would probably just pierce right through the Earth. I don't know. I'm just making that up, but I'm saying I can't believe that it would just disintegrate in the air. I also, however, don't believe in the official explanation for what a comet is, that they're snowballs in space. I think that's stupid. And that's my personal opinion. I'm not saying you're stupid if you believe that. I'm just saying that that is illogical and unreasonable for me to believe in, okay, for my own reasons, because I've researched it. All right, next up, this company Colossal becomes the first private startup founded in Texas to earn $10 billion valuation. The De-extinction company, led by CEO Ben Lamb, has raked in $435 million in funding since its launch. Basically, these guys were given $435 million. Wouldn't that be nice? Like, for average regular people, wouldn't that be sweet? Yeah, they don't. Anyways, I don't want to complain or anything. Neither should we, I guess. But they're trying to make a real life Jurassic Park, basically. They want to recreate woolly mammoths. They want to recreate the Tasmanian tiger. And other extinct animals like the dodo bird and stuff. They might be able to make a woolly mammoth, but it's not going to be mammoth sized. I'll tell you right now. That's gigantism. That's something that happens across the world, not just to elephants, all right? It happens to everything in this world. Every other cycle, we go through periods of gigantism and then shrinking. We're in the shrinking phase right now. But in the next world, gigantism will be restored to this world. Elephants will naturally just start growing back into mammoths and things of that nature. And if they do recreate a woolly mammoth, it's going to be a little tiny version of it. And it probably won't really survive that long. I don't know. It's possible. But they're expecting some huge dinosaur. That happens because of Earth's atmospheric conditions, not because of the DNA or anything like that. You can have anomalies and whatnot, but as we've seen here in this world, because humans used to be gigantic, the anomalies in the human world today that are gigantic don't really make it. Okay, their bodies are not designed to move about under such extreme pressures from the atmosphere and a lack of gases and an increase in density and an increase or a decrease in buoyancy. You know what I mean? So the giants that we have in the human world, they don't fit in. Their bodies don't like walking around under all of this pressure, under so much weight. But when you relieve that weight, after atmospheric depressurization, everything will weigh a lot less, and it will be a lot easier for giants to move about and carry their own mass, and et cetera, and so on and so forth. All right, next up, Trump renames the Gulf of Mexico. I thought this was hilarious, so I thought I would just share this with everybody. I think it's all this little bickering in politics. I don't care which side. I'm not on either side because I'm anti-politics. Okay, I think both sides are dumb. Trump renames the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America amongst one of his first executive orders. So, first and foremost, the executive order thing, I don't care who's in office, this is not good, okay? To give one person that much power to just decide anything that they want to be a law. So I've always been against executive orders, but this is basically a big FU to clearly, you know what I mean? To anyone who is against Trump or all the stuff that he stands for or whatever it is. I'm not real caught up on the politics, okay? But I just think it's hilarious. He renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Kathy Reed just gave me a donation and says, thank you for all my work. Oh, you're super welcome, Kathy Reed. High five. Thank you so much. That's money that I can use to, pick up my son, run errands, grab food, pay the electric bill, regular stuff that regular people pay for. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll think of you next time I pay my bills. Next up. Hold on. Let me laugh at this one more time. The Gulf of America. That's funny. I don't really care what its names are. You know what I mean? It's probably changed names a million times, but I just think that's hilarious. Oh, let's listen to this news story too. This lady wants to talk about it.
Firing back at President Trump's signing of an order to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. During his inauguration speech, Trump reiterated he wants to make it the Gulf of America.
America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world.
No, okay, time out. Now I feel like I got to talk about what's being said. Keep in mind, I don't believe in countries. I don't believe personally in borders and countries and all that stuff. I'm a law of the land kind of guy, okay? I'm more of like a pirate, I guess you could say. Not even a pirate, because then they abide by laws of the ocean and stuff. I'm anti all that stuff. But anyways, this guy's talking about how America's going to be the number one once more, blah, blah, blah. That's not good either. Okay. Listen, the apocalypse is on the way. These people are all starting to vie for power and to position themselves and compare themselves. And like, for example, TikTok was just banned, right? So TikTok went away, it was banned, and that's a huge company. That's a huge income source for like lots of people and stuff. I'm not pro or anti TikTok. I'm anti the whole modern world. Okay. So TikTok is right in there with the trash. But anyways, they're starting to ban things. They're starting to, apply tariffs and things of that nature. This is a company war. It's a war between companies. Those companies are called countries, nations, but they're companies. They're stores. That's it. It's just Target versus Walmart is all you're seeing at play. They give you a flag and they have you, root for your store because your store gives you particular benefits for living within, the boundaries of your particular local store or whatever. But that's all it is. Okay. This is all corporate stuff. But yeah, he's renaming the Gulf of whatever. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to rename all of it right now. It's the flood. The ocean in all of its wonderful forms, seas, estuaries, the 7 oceans, all of that stuff. It's just one big body of water from when the world was flooded completely. And if you look at ancient maps and you compare them, you can actually see over time the water level rising and then falling on these ancient maps as certain land masses appear and disappear. All right, speaking of land masses appearing and disappearing, this is a ghost island. A ghost island emerges from the ocean, and it's about to vanish again. This is an aerial view of a little island. You can see it right there. It says a ghost island that suddenly appeared in the Caspian Sea in early 2023 is playing a centuries-long game of peekaboo with scientists. It's about to vanish once again if it hasn't already slipped beneath the waves. Now here's some pictures. This is from 2022. It's gone. There's no island there. So people who did see that island before that and have visited that island and left and went back to the mainland and said, oh my God, we found this island. And other people who are academically minded, they'll say, there's no such place. Blah, 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 blah. We've already established this. We teach empirical evidence. There is no island there. We have checked, and therefore you're lying. But in 2023, all of a sudden, this island is there. And in 2024, you can see the island looks like it's disappearing once more. There are things called phantom islands throughout ancient lore and old wives' tales and myths and legends and history and religion. Real places that were at some point in time, or perhaps many points in time, they were above the ocean, or the ocean water was below them, right? Vice versa. And there's many accounts of these islands. Oftentimes, these places are known as having magical properties, being inhabited by strange creatures or even humanoids. But this is living, breathing proof. And this is, to me, a huge omen that we can see islands, land can start coming up out of the ocean all by itself, and it can disappear all by itself, just like the story of Atlantis, the most famous, island that appears and disappears. So this is the omen of that ultimate land, which is Atlantis or Hyperborea or the Garden of Eden, that will reappear one day. Okay, if it is under the ocean right now, if it is sank beneath the waters, it will reemerge. It will come back. All of these things are cyclical. But I just wanted to point this out because we're having a lot of different phantom islands all of a sudden starting to reemerge and appear within the past decade or so. Remember we did that report on Japan and how they discovered 7,000 new islands in Japan, right? So this is just hardcore evidence for anyone that's a naysayer, that islands do disappear quickly and they can reappear quickly too, okay? And this one right here happens to be volcanic as well, right? These are inner earth entrances when they're not full of lava, basically. You can get down inside the earth. Now check this one out. This is an aurora. Some of you might see something in this aurora, just like you would look at the clouds and see a picture in the clouds, okay? I'm not saying that this is anything but plasma up in the heavens, but I can see an image. Do you? If you're looking at this right now and you're in the chat, go ahead and type in what you might see. Or if you don't see anything, you could say, doesn't look like anything to me. Go ahead and type that into the chat. Let me know if you see anything or what appears to be anything in this aurora right here, okay? And I'll go ahead and read this. An eerie light seen in the sky may be a new phenomenon, scientists say. Now, I'll summarize this entire article. They're talking about how this portion of the aurora right here is gray. It has no color. It's just white. It's just a white aurora or a gray aurora. I think that's very interesting. All these different colors that are being introduced during this great color spectrum shift that we're going through on Earth over the past few hundred years, we go through color spectrum shifts. That's another part of the omens to the apocalypse and recognizing where are we on this timeline. On this timeline, an apocalyptic timeline, it's very linear, okay? Even though I believe everything is cyclical and moves in vortices and spirals and toroidal fields and stuff. But a part of that is linear too. So we have your beginning and your end of the apocalyptic cycle, right? And we need to find out, or it helps us, it helps me to find out where I am in that line, in that timeline from the last cycle to the next cycle. Where am I? Why is that important? Because if I determine I'm towards the beginning, then that relieves me and I can know, that I have a long time to prepare for an eventual apocalypse, or if it'll even happen during my time, I can start preparing my grandchildren and whatnot. But if I figure out that I'm somewhere towards the end of that cycle, now a fire starts to light under everyone's butt who is born during that time, or people like myself, where it helps me to understand the world that I'm living in, why things are so crazy, why we live during chaotic times of chaos and destruction and extreme weather and plague and toxicity and death and disease and stuff. It actually makes me feel good because I know that the good news is right around the corner. Eventually, inevitably, and soon, it's going to end. the system and the way that we live in this world today, it's all going to come to an end because it will be reset. And that reset provides freedom, and it provides fresh supplies of water and elements and gases and things that help and contribute to our growth and longer lifespans and rid this world of disease and stuff. So this is one of those omens, okay? Whenever you see things that normally would be one color changing colors. And by the way, this is what I see in the Aurora. It looks like an angel. Okay, I see like a humanoid, like a female with hair and an eye and nose and wearing a gown of some sort and an arm and maybe a wing right up here or something, right? So it's no stretch of the imagination to be able to see like a humanoid figure or a bird or a combination of the two. And I believe that the ancient people did look up into the heavens and saw as these auroras stretched and wrapped around the entire world, and that there were places of power where energy was shooting up out of the earth, and that contributed to what people saw and the signs that were seen in the heavens. And they went over to their local rock walls and started carving these glyphs into them to record it, knowing that it was momentous, knowing that it was a once in a lifetime or less than once in a lifetime event to have happened. And they started drawing out all these stick figure formations and telling stories so that they could preserve what they were seeing. And they personified these things, and they called them giants and titans and animals of different sorts, animals of creation, cosmic deities, and things of that nature. Now, last but not least, this was sent in to me. This is one of my viewer submissions. I wasn't able to have viewer submissions for a little bit, so I'm happy that they're back. And let's see, who was this sent in by? Bryce. Was it Bryce? Hold on one sec. Let me see if I can find the name. Sorry, I got stuff open everywhere here. Let's see. Yes, Bryce. So Bryce sent this one in. The only reason I know that it's Bryce, this new Dropbox I'm using doesn't allow me to put, I guess it doesn't allow people to put their names or information about it. But you can upload your information. Bryce has his name attached to the file, and I see the file name, so I know that it was sent by Bryce. So I want to say thank you to Bryce for sharing this. This is one of those things that people have been seeing and documenting across the world. These are these white balls of light. Have you seen these? Have you seen people making videos about these things? People are looking at these, they're saying these white balls of light. Sometimes they're coming out of the fires in California. Sometimes they come up out of volcanoes. Sometimes they're just hovering about above someone's roof. I have seen many of these just this past year alone. I'll go outside, walk my dog at night. I look up in the sky, and this is what I see. This is what people are describing. The people who have described these white balls of light, and sometimes they're different colors too, they describe them as moving steadily across the sky. They're large, so people who know how big a satellite is supposed to be, we know that they're not satellites. We can tell that they're very close, okay, and they're very large, and they're way bigger than satellites are. They glow as well. Another thing that they do is that they just appear out of nowhere and disappear, like turning on a light switch or turning off a light switch. That's because these are plasmoids. These are little points of light, basically. They're self-contained plasmoids that move about in a toroidal field, and they follow the electric currents of the Earth, which is why you see them quite often, going in similar directions as satellites and stuff like that, because everything is following the Earth's current. The jet stream's following different currents, the winds are following electromagnetic currents, and electricity obviously is going to follow electromagnetic currents. These things can also cause fires. So in the ancient world, these were personified as little, mischief-making, troublesome spirits that could set things ablaze should they land on them or touch them or whatever. So this is a huge culprit for the actual fires, the wildfires that are happening across the world right now, right? And have been for the past few years. That's because of all the gases that are being released from Mother Earth. They come up into a highly pressurized atmosphere up here, much more electrically charged, and they can they can become plasma or plasmoids, and plasmoids can take different shapes. These are shapeshifters, okay? These are your quintessential shape-shifting aliens. These can take many different shapes. Sometimes they look like ducks up there in the sky. Sometimes they look like they grow little feet or legs as they move about. Sometimes they're described as chariots and angels fighting each other up there in the heavens. You can have many of these, and they'll chase each other around too. Okay, you've probably seen many different videos where the balls are moving in formations and certain patterns and stuff. That's because they're following cymatics and frequency and vibrations and electromagnetic currents and stuff. So those things form patterns, recognizable patterns. It doesn't mean that it's a craft, a metallic craft that has little green aliens inside of it. I'm also not discounting that the concept of aliens. I totally talk about aliens that live outside of our dome, and aliens that live in the underworld, and aliens that have been trapped in here on the surface with us since the last time that the dome opened up. But I do want to point this out because if you have these, if you've seen these, especially if you have video, please send it to me, because I'm very eager to share videos of these strange balls of light and other phenomenon, from extreme weather to weird, strange lights that you happen to see in the night sky. Blurry, not blurry, doesn't matter. It's not a guarantee that I'll share it. Obviously, the better quality it is, the better the odds are that I'm going to actually share it on my channel. But if you catch stuff like this, we would all like to see it. And I'm speaking for the whole Good Vibe tribe. Like, we're interested in coming together, putting our puzzle pieces together and checking it out. Doesn't really necessarily mean I want to see, you saw a cloud that looked like a piece of bacon. That's probably not going to make it into the Omens segment. You know what I mean? But if you see these types of things, especially if you have video of it, do send it my way. Okay? This is pretty soon the whole sky will be full of these. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. Okay? They're going to start settling over what I call places of power, major metropolitan places, especially places that have these old world style buildings like the Dome of the Rock, or any of those Capitol buildings, in London or the UK or the United States or Australia or wherever. They start settling over these places because those Capitol buildings were built upon places of power in the ancient world, vortices that had the most power, energetically speaking, and light came up out of the ground in those places. And so it became like a dragon line or a ley line point of focus, or vortex of energy, basically. So these things naturally are going to start settling in these areas of high electrical charge or electromagnetic potential, we'll say, right? And when they do this, it stands to reason that the people who don't study plasma physics and know nothing about the electric universe or anything, they're just going to see UFOs posting up above major cities. And we've already kind of been conditioned to think this through the movies, right? Haven't we? Anyways, this is very interesting. So he's got this one right here. He's probably sent in like 20 pictures, but I just picked out the two that I like the best. As you can see, this one even has some color to it, right? That's because this is a light. I've heard so many other YouTube channels try to talk about propulsion systems on these things because it moves these crazy angles or whatever. It can move like that because it's a light, because it's plasma. Okay, and it can move at the speed of light. It can turn off. It can turn on. It can do all the things that people attribute to super advanced technology from aliens or whatever. This is a light. This can cause fires. There's probably gases around here that are invisible to the human eye. And those gases, when it's the right type of gas and enough of it, they can explode. This type of thing was seen over Tunguska in Siberia 100 years ago, approximately. Right? People saw this huge orb, a gigantic one, a big red orb, just hovering over the Siberian forest, right? And then it explodes. Why? It combusts. It's gas. It hovers over. This is all electrical charge, which can ignite gas, right? And so it hovers into a place that already has a huge pocket of gas hovering over it, and the two meet, and boom, you have a huge explosion. Now, you also might hear of these huge explosions over major cities and stuff too. Now, knowing how people are conditioned these days, they'll probably jump straight to blaming one another. And the humans did it, and some other humans. It must be a group of terrorists. It must be this. It must be that. Or aliens. Instead of just acknowledging it's Mother Earth. Her time has come. It has nothing to do with her being mad at you, or getting revenge, or loving America, or hating Australia, or Canada, or whatever it may be. It's just Mother Earth getting ready to give birth. She's getting ready to change, and we're getting ready to shift into the next cycle. I think that's all that I had for today, so keep an eye out. We're going to jump right back into doing these Omen segments. I'm going to try to do them on Tuesdays, as we used to always do, and go check them out. I got a whole playlist. Every other video is members only, just to show my appreciation to the members, give them something special for supporting my work and my family and helping me to pay bills and do what I do, what I love doing for a living. So I usually keep the newest Omen segment up for at least a week or two. And then after that, every other one is basically made members only. So thanks a lot for watching tonight. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
Cool.